Hello and welcome to the National Curriculum. I am your host as voted by the people. All right. Let me tell you how my Sunday started. All right. I woke up, I saw that there was some tweet out there questioning whether I should be the rightful host, as I should be in Josh's absence. Josh isn't here. Joey Lynch is with me. He was in the poll. The people deemed him clearly. The people have spoken, Joey, and the people have said,
You're not
to be honest, we prefer Nick. It wasn't emphatic. It wasn't like definitely Nick. It was more like Nick or Joey. We'll go Nick. Like if we have to, we'll go have to. Ante is with us as well. Ante has limited the amount of football he watched this week, which was important because he watched far too much last week and nearly OD'd. Massive show coming up. We're gonna go through your questions. We're gonna talk A-Liga. I know a lot of people got upset about we calling it A-Liga this week. I got to be honest with you. If you're rattled by someone calling it A-Liga, you're a little too easily rattled. Let's be honest.
Too aligned, man.
I also got to be honest with you. Maybe technically, if you're rattled by a Shrek hanging in the Amy Park, you're a little too easily rattled as well. But
what are you doing in my swamp?
Joey Lynch, look. We need to talk. There's a lot of things, questions from the people. We put the tweet out there. First of all, we put the tweet out there. I think we should share it. Democracy is really important. I know I probably sound like one of my heroes, Giannis Varoufakis, always talking about the importance of democracy, and we like to really promote that here at the National Curriculum. So let's see. Parish out. Who should host? Stoll with a whopping bit of a landslide victory, to be honest. 64%. Joey Lynch. 30%.
Sorry, let me just interject here. Why is this a two-party system, and why is Debano not an option here?
Because Debano is going to be late. He can't host if he's late, unless you wanted to wait until 10:30.
Why do you limit the public scope in this question?
Are you saying that I should have included you in the poll, Ante?
No, I don't want to host. I had nothing outside of my A-Liga brain takes.
I see you Ante takes. Anyway, look, so the people have spoken, 89 votes, not the biggest turnout that, democracy has ever seen. But look, I'm pretty happy with the results. So, we'll go with that. But we put the tweet out. We said,
I've said it once. I've said it 1,000 times. Democracy does not work.
But we have questions, and we put a lot of topics out there. We're going to get through them all today. We're going to talk dub semis, A-League All-Stars, talk all the games happening this weekend. But the people want to know. The people really want to know, Joey. They want to know about Shrek. They want to know what's going on.
He's done already, mate. We're like 5 minutes in.
Ben Smith says, friend of the pod, out there in Perth, is Shrek a bolter? Ante Jukic just did the Shrek in Croatian. That was in response
Shrek.
to Stephen Gunavas, who was wondering about Croatian Shrek. What did you have to say about Run the Memes also said Shrekgate? Let us know. What are your thoughts?
Are we joking here, or do you actually want a serious answer?
No. We'll save your serious
answer. Let's do both. ¿Por qué no los dos?
From a gag perspective, I've already buried the hatchet with Victory Admin. All right, it's because I am the only person that goes to Victory press conferences in person anymore. I was able to have a conversation with Victory Admin, and we have buried the hatchet.
Cool.
We talked it out.
You shared some drinks, some glasses of
milk. They buried the hatchet over a milk instead of a beer.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
they spilled milk all over my chest rather than scald it in the fine Victory tradition.
Listen, what we're going to do is, you can comment during the show. You can tell us to shut up if you want to. You can, if we're going too long, or if you want us to keep going, we'll keep going. If you keep commenting, we'll keep going. You can comment on Facebook. You can comment on YouTube. You can comment on Twitter at TNC Football. If you go to YouTube, search TNC Football. If you go to Facebook, I don't know. It's a waste of space. Don't go there. It's a terrible place. but it is go on our page. But Ivan Stragan has come on and he has said, he's watching on YouTube. Shout out Ivan Stragan. Hello all. One request. Ask Joey to pronounce these 3 simple words. Joey, you can read them on the screen. Feel free to pronounce these words. Let's go, Joey.
I don't want to.
No, he's not. He's not a clown. He's not a circus animal. Stop getting him to do these things.
What am I, a clown? Do I amuse you? Am I here to amuse you?
For the benefit of those who are listening as a podcast, which you can also do, Vince Rugari has written the words "cast, fast, and past," which in my best Joey impersonation would be "cast."
Yeah, I'll say it. All right, it is. Ivan has requested that I say "cast, fast, and past."
I'm sandbagging this. Look, Joey, I love you, so I'm going to sandbag this. I don't find. This is all Nick, man. This is all Nick.
It's true. You know what? I encourage people to make fun of us.
You know,
as much as possible.
You mock me. You mock my mother that speaks like this. You mock my family. A shame on your ancestors. A shame upon your cow.
It's true. Sorry. All right. Look, should we, I guess, at some point talk about the football? And I wanted to kick off the show. I wanted to ask you, actually, first thing I wanted to ask you, what was your favorite thing from the weekend? What was the thing that you enjoyed this weekend? Joey Lynch, go.
Favorite thing from the weekend? Probably Melbourne City versus Western United. I had fun. It was a really entertaining game just to watch as a spectacle. I was filing an on the whistle match report for AAP. So I'm not sure if anybody, here's a bit of an insight. If you are actually wanting to watch a match and actually take something from it, don't be writing an on the whistle match report, because you absorb none of it, because you basically spend the second 45 minutes just writing and begging for nothing else to happen and screw with your entire copy. But from what I saw, I had a lot of fun. First half, it was end-to-end football. Teams were attacking. Second half, Western had to batten down the hatches. City came. Marco Tilio's cross.
Had to. Interesting choice of words there, Joseph.
No, Western United chose to batten down the hatches as City came forward. Marco Tilio's assist for Connor Metcalf's goal, fantastic.
Beautiful. Unbelievable.
I mean, just letting the play, just stopping and letting the play develop in front of him, taking a pause up and just letting the play open up before he slides it in for Metcalf's cracker of a shot. So that was my favourite part of the weekend.
Ante Jukic, you were wearing a Valencia jersey from, I believe, the Juan Mata, David Villa, David Silva era.
Yes,
it was a beautiful era in terms of they had some really, really good players. But Ante, tell me your favourite thing from the weekend.
Craig Goodwin not playing as a left winger.
There you go. Some people are simple, some people are complex. Ante likes Craig Goodwin not playing as a left winger.
No, sorry, let me go on here. Okay. Considering, Adelaide did just play the Jets.
We will get into this game in a minute.
All right, let's do it. Cool.
But first, before we start, I wanted to something has reemerged. A thing from the past has come up, and it's pretty exciting. And I think, we can all get excited. We can probably just get away with about 15 seconds of this song.
Somebody won't ain't the sharpest tool in the
shed. He was looking kind of dumb with a finger and a thumb. Okay, that's all we can afford, I think, for legal reasons. But what I will say is the All-Star concept is back. Apparently, Don Bossi is reporting in the Sydney Morning Herald. He writes for the Sydney papers.
He's your fellow member of the Shadow Realm, so you're not allowed to chant that, man. You are barred from chanting that.
I chant that. To me, that is a positive chant. He writes for the Sydney papers. He's like, you should be proud to write for the Sydney papers, especially that paper. The other paper, not so much. But so the All-Star concept is back. So first of all, or at least we think it's coming back. First of all, I want to know your initial thoughts on the whole All-Star concept, and then B, whether you like it or not, we are going to talk about who should be an All-Star, and we're going to nominate goalkeepers first. Goalkeepers in this section. So Joey, do you like the All-Star concept against Barcelona?
I don't care.
To be fair, I don't
care.
You don't hate it? You don't like it?
It'll pop a rating. It'll get a big crowd. It'll do some business. I mean, heck, it might steal coverage away from the grand final if it takes place the week beforehand. I don't care. Like,
is that the plan for it to take place a week before?
I've seen talk about it taking place the week before the grand final. I mean, it's got a very limited window that Barcelona can actually, well, Barcelona's C team can come out here and play the game before they go back home. It's what's the legacy of the previous All-Stars games other than really cheap, discounted All-Stars jerseys at Rebel Sport for the next 4 years?
I did like the blue and yellow there. It was a nice color.
Like fine. Let the APL have it. Let them put it on. Let them do their best to try to use it as a springboard to get more people interested in the A-League and bring get people, coming back next season and picking a team and watching it. I don't think they'll be able to, but if they want to, it's their money. Oh no, it's Silver Lake's money probably. It's not mine. I'll just say, fine, let them do it. Hope to God they've got other avenues to attract buy-in and attract people, interested people aside from that, because I don't think it's going to do it alone. But if it's part of a rich tapestry of promotional considerations that the APL has on tap, go for it. I'll probably watch it, and then I'll forget about it.
Watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably have to watch it. I'll probably try to sell some stories based on it because NRI, I can probably sell it to some people. And then I'll forget about it in a month or two, probably, aside from memes.
Ante, we always come to you for positivity. After that underwhelming reaction.
At least I didn't shit on it, which I think some people have probably expected me to.
Ante, All-Stars.
Look, I've been consistent on the idea, or on with my belief that if we're going to promote the A-Leagues as competitions, we should steer away from gimmickry. But at the same time, look, if they're going to promote a football match, as a means of getting more eyeballs, both locally and internationally, and if they feel this is a way to do it, let them try.
Yeah, I mean, look, just quickly, I think it's I understand like the merits of it, but I also think the problem with doing it, the problem in the past is that football isn't like basketball, for example, where basketball is such a more individualistic game that it's just kind of cool to see like two individuals who haven't played with each other before. It's cool to see LeBron and Steph on the same team or whatever. It's cool to see LeBron and Giannis on the same team.
The thing about, let's say, these All-Star games, NBA, NHL, MLB, they are used as means to showcase the league's talent alone. Whereas against Barcelona, you kind of undermine the status of your own league and you kind of cheapen your own brand by doing that. It's a bit like, and that's what I mean by like, it's kind of a cheap gimmick because it creates like a no bias kind of thinking when you're actually talking about the A-League. It's I mean, they can try, but I guess there are more tangible ways to promote the league, or to have an actual better product in the A-Liga menu. If we're going to use this example.
Having said that, Joey, you have your finger up, which always makes me nervous because this podcast starts to run long. But go for it.
And
Joey.
you are the host that was talking about Shrek and other bullshit for 8 minutes. Shut up. I would just say we do have a couple of special guests on tap, and they're here early. I would like to hear what they have to say about the All-Stars concept, not to drop them in it without warning.
We'll add them in it. We'll give them at least 2 seconds to prepare. But welcome to the show, Taryn Hendu and Pokuah Frimpong. Welcome, huge signings, All-Stars in themselves. I mean, this show is bringing All-Stars. All right, guys. We brought you in to talk the A-League Women's semifinals, which we will get to in a minute. But generally speaking, All-Star concepts, like or dislike?
Unlike Ante, I actually like the NBA All-Star game, but I don't think it works for the A-Liga men's. Is that how we're going with it now? A-Liga.
The Isuzu Ute A-League men's competition.
Yeah, that's a bit too many.
You can call it Anything you like. Anything. Australia.
We will be discussing the Isuzu Ute A-League men's and the Liberty Financial A-League women's.
I thought we were going to call it the Royal Commission A-Liga women's. It's a Ponzi, guys.
Pokuah, tell me your thoughts. You like the NBA All-Star game, but you don't think it'll work.
I do. No, I just don't think there's enough individualist, like, it's like, I think it was Ante
Steph can't
was speaking
score
about it.
15 threes. Like, there's no
it's exactly. There's too much, it's too much team as opposed to you can't really show off any skills. There's no Ronaldinho out there, so not really switching in for that.
I mean, Talbot of Sydney FC did a nice Elastico on the weekend, and I was like, whoa! Anyway.
I want less Neymar, more Ronaldinho.
Taryn, what's your thoughts? All-Stars, like, dislike?
I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, if it brings lots of people to the ground and lots of people get excited about it, that's fine. Whatever. But yeah, it's not really going to be a showcase.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We have surveyed the Australian football public, and there is a unanimous, I guess, whatever.
Taryn and Pokuah, would you be more interested if it was Barcelona feminine?
Yeah, I would actually. Absolutely, I would.
Given that, but then again, would that potentially just be a Matildas versus Spain game? Given that,
great, sign me up. I'll turn it on.
As inconsistent as this sounds, I would be all in for watching Jenny Hermoso play on a football pitch in Australia.
Absolutely.
So I'm cool.
Oh yeah, anything that brings that team here, I am all for. Anyway,
you know what's annoying is Putellas is clearly the best player in the world,
she isn't.
And Ante has to zag every time someone's zigging. Ante has to zag. Oh my god! We went through 15 years of this with Messi and Modric,
remix, man.
And now we get another version of it. Oh.
Sorry. Oh wait. Oh, this is a massive week in football.
No. We're going to move on. But here's the thing I would like. Pokuah and Taryn, I know you're more focused in the women's game, but I think we should. The one thing that the All-Star concept does give you, which I really like, is it allows the media to just debate this thing forever and ever, and it's all nonsense, but it feels column inches and TV shows and podcasts and that. So, goalkeepers. And you know what? We can do an all-star team for the men and the women. So, guys, I'll start with you. A-League all-star goalkeeper men. Who is your nomination, Joey?
In line with my thoughts, Ren, I'm just going to pick the most entertaining 11. So, Ivan.
Pelivan. Ante?
Coming back to Luka Modric's second half monster class.
No. Ante lost his permission. When I have to get rid of that. All right, there'll be no Luka Modric chat.
Okay. I'll take. I don't know. Gauchi.
Okay. All right. Pokuah, who would you nominate in A-Liga Mujeres?
I think even though she didn't have the greatest weekend, Melissa Barbieri, I think she'd pull off some like spectacular saves. It'd be good quality content.
Seniority.
Just her yelling would be good fun.
Aaron?
Ooh, I would have to say Casey Dumont. Partly because I think she's an excellent shot stopper, but also her distribution is so chaotic. It could just add an extra layer.
I love all our sub reasons. I love like this kind of like this, but really this. All right, let's get on to the biggest games of the weekend, the semifinals. All right.
Also for the All-Star, I want 90 minutes of Adama Traore running at Scott Jamieson.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some potentially very funny things that could happen in that game, but whatever. We'll get on to that.
Hey, it worked for Dylan Perez.
It did.
It was very nice. Okay, what would you guys like to start with first? We had the 2-1 Melbourne victory win over Adelaide this afternoon, or we had the game on Friday night, Sydney FC 4, Melbourne City 2.
I'm going either way. It's your podcast. You pick, Nick.
That's true. It is my podcast.
Hold
on.
Hold on. No. Pokuah, did you perhaps go slightly early on Friday night?
Nah, Joey. I didn't. I was writing emotions. I was living my best life. But
Can we get an
a
explanation?
former- No, you know what?
Pokuah,
I
from
was-
memory, Pokuah put up a celebratory tweet as
was.
Stephen
City
A.
were
And I
2-0 up.
favoured it too.
You know what? I blame a former co-host on this show for cursing Melbourne City.
Yeah, here we
because
go.
he
It's
decided to
Stephen A.
bring up-
Smith dancing.
No. He he decided to
Dancing.
bring up unnecessarily the red card, and then they started pouring in. And I blame this man wholeheartedly. He's public enemy number one to me. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear a tweet from him. It's upset me. He ruined the game. He ruined it. It's his fault.
Are you a Melbourne City fan, or like was this,
No, I'm not-
or you just
I'm
wanted
not
to see
Melbourne
Sydney
City.
FC lose?
I just wanted a home grand final. That's all I wanted. Was that too much
There
to
are,
ask
enough,
for?
there are enough A-Liga women's media members who are supporters of football clubs anyway, so we don't need
Okay,
Go on, you don't
all
need to do
right,
that.
Ante. Taryn, your thoughts on the Sydney FC for Melbourne City too? Because it did look like Melbourne City, Rado Vidicic has done it. Oh, they've worked it out. Oh, and then
Yeah, I mean,
No.
Rado Vidicic almost did it, and then he undid it with some very strange substitutions. I mean, obviously that wasn't the only reason. The mood was down in my household as well. We purely wanted a Melbourne grand final, and then we were upset. So that's it. It is what it is. It do be like that. No, it was just. Yeah, it was weird because Sydney looked like at any point that they were going to score, and then they just sort of weren't scoring, and then it was 2-0, and it sort of felt like up until the point it was like, oh, this is just going to be one of those games where they don't find a way into the back of the net, and then they did. Stoll came off in the 70th minute, and even before then, Torpy came off in the 65th, and like they both not maybe fully fit, but surely the best form of load management is not playing next week. So I'm not sure why you don't keep them on, like especially Stott, because she's such a huge part of like containing Sydney, particularly Courtney Vine, who made such a big difference as well when she came on at halftime. I'm a bit mean to Paige Satchel, but Paige Satchel really is like B grade Courtney Vine. Like Courtney Vine is just like that. She's so fast and so dribbly and does
these
the
are the
same
takes we
thing.
wanted you on for, man.
Like-
this is what we want.
Well, I mean, like compared to Courtney Vine, anyone is big. Courtney Vine is like too good for the league. But yeah,
Hardy
it all
Graham,
sort of
Courtney
fell
Vine,
apart.
basically.
And then
I have such different takes about Courtney Vine. Oh.
that's so interesting.
Go for it.
Oh,
Go for it.
go.
I think
Do it.
I like Courtney Vine, but I think she's slightly overrated. She's the definition of pace and power. She is.
Yes.
She's a great.
Yes.
She's
no
incredibly
cheering from
talented.
the sidelines. Let them fight it clean.
She's incredibly talented.
Wait.
but-
Sorry. Fight.
But I will say though, like, the standard of A-League women's makes Courtney Vine look even greater than she is. I think if she went overseas, I think she would get exposed a lot because sometimes her decision making on the ball and her placement is not the greatest, and she's just incredibly fast. And I think it helps in a league that's not incredibly fast.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But she's a great player.
Yeah, that's fair. She is. She's a great player. She's very fast and very dribbly and very zoomy, and like that's very fun. Presumably, when there are players that are also faster and zoomier and like able to defend her, that like makes a difference. I do think that like I am excited at the prospect of Courtney Vine going to a league where she's forced to learn to like track back. Because that is just not something in her game. I think in the Asia Cup she played right back at one point and looked lost. Looked like she was just I don't know. It was an odd decision. But yeah, the game was chaotic. It was very fun. I think that it was one of those like where, if you didn't enjoy the game, you're either a diehard Melbourne City fan or you hate football, and whatever one that is sucks.
Yo,
But
You're sometimes known to suck, so give us your thoughts on the game. Joey, are you
Wait,
listening?
sorry, I was distracted. I think once again catching the replay on it because I was calling Melbourne Croatia's comeback against Bentley
We're gonna win
Greens
the
that
league.
night as well. Tom Manos, man, what a save!
Big save.
Yeah, pretty much basically looking at it when Vine just came on, just the energy she was bringing, City looking increasingly flatter as the game went on. I think once Vine got the first goal in the comeback, I think there was no team winning that game other than Sydney. I think it was just a matter of time until they got the equaliser. Although, to be honest, looking at Rajas's actual goal, City's defence, I mean, at that point, squeaky bum time, you're down a player. Sydney got in behind them pretty easily, given the prevailing circumstances that surrounding the goal. But yeah, especially once it went to extra time. Listen, there was absolutely no side winning that game other than Sydney. Once we went to an extra 30 minutes of football. My biggest point of intrigue moving forward is one. Perhaps it was a case of ball don't lie with Bubs going off because it could have been a case where she should have gotten that card instead of TJ Blanich. So that was the fact that she got sent off late in extra time, down 4-2. Bit of an error, let's admit it on her part, but it's also very interesting now in the sense that she's out of contract at the end of this season. She's 41 years old. Even if she comes back, it's almost certain that she will not start for Melbourne City next season. We are facing down circumstances wherein Melissa Barbieri's legendary career ends with her sitting in the stands in a tracksuit, watching as Melbourne Victory knock Melbourne City out of the A-League Women's Liberty Financial A-League Women's Finals. That to me is a very intriguing storyline.
Do you think? Okay, so we'll get on to Victory in a minute, but and this is for all of you. Did the performance of both teams did it give you more confidence in Sydney FC that they can come through these kind of tough times with resilience and they can overcome it and they'll do so again in the grand final? Or did it show that there are kind of chinks in the armor and there are weaknesses that can be exposed?
We've been seeing chinks in Sydney's armor for months.
Yeah,
like they've always been there.
Or watch the Adelaide game.
Yeah,
like the most definitive aspect about that game against Melbourne City, or this recent one, this final, was just how chaotic it was, and that's probably what makes Courtney Vine such a transformative figure within the context of that game. And something about Vine, speaking of her ability to transfer, in the event she moves away from the Liberty Financial A-Liga Women's, would be the positions in which she picks up the ball, allowing her to go downhill at defenders. I don't think that happens elsewhere or at relatively higher levels. And I'm aligned with Pokuah in the sense that she's primarily just a P&P player. And to be honest, most of the better players in the A-Liga Women's are P&P players. It's not, I don't think it's anything that that we have to hide around.
Perhaps one of the best non-P&P players in the league wasn't playing last night because she's done her ACL.
Yes,
but Pokuah, did it give you more confidence in Sydney?
I think I learned more about Melbourne City, but I think I've been learning about them throughout the season. I think they work well as a unit and they can hold on. And even when their best player isn't able to play, I think they've done well and they've showed character throughout these games. I think Melissa Barbieri going off and going for that challenge is an indication of the type of team they are, where they never say die. But probably wasn't the greatest decision when you're 4-2 down. I think Sydney at times, show that they can have moments where they just don't play well, especially with Hawkesby not in control. I think they rely a lot on Hawkesby. I think people have talked a lot about Vine and Simonson and all that, but Hawkesby is that engine for that team. If she is not involved, they don't really do anything. I think that's why City were able to control the game for large portions, because they essentially marked her out of the game.
Taryn?
Yeah, it's hard to like compare. I think Melbourne City play in a different way than pretty much any other team, because pretty much every other team goes 4-3-3, very direct, zoom, run very fast, score goals on the counter. And Sydney do that as well, and they do that with a set of players that is better than most other sets of players. Like, you know, you compare the benches of any other team to Sydney, you know, on their bench. You've got Sarah Hunter, who came on and scored the goal to make it 3-2. You've got, you know, Cote Rojas, like Courtney Vine coming off the bench, you know, normal circumstances, she's not injured. Like Paige Tatchell's a great player to have coming off the bench. So...
And imagine if Lowe was more assertive in a game.
Yeah. Rachel Lowe's a funny one, because this is a great opportunity to drop in my fun fact about Rachel Lowe. I once captained her in cricket. She's great, little mediums. Fun fact. Just drop that in any opportunity.
How did she respond to your instructions?
I don't know. She was like, she was like 14.
Where did you feel that? Where did she feel it?
Do you think?
You know what?
Do you think your leadership helped her get to where she is now?
Oh,
do you think
undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. You know what? I'm more intrigued actually. As a captain, where did you bat?
This is a cricket podcast now.
Yeah, I was a bowler. I batted at like 6 or 7 in this team, I think.
You batted at 6?
Something like that in this
That's
team.
a bowler.
I don't know. Yeah, it was like an all schools thing. So I was in like year 12 and like she was in like year 9 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Pretty good to be playing in the same team.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, she's good. She bowled really handy little offies. Not offies, bloody hell. She bowled little handy little mediums. Just little nippy.
Just
medium
line and
places.
length. Just
line and length.
line
Just on the spot. Yeah.
All right, guys. This is getting too much for my non-cricketing brain. So back to the football.
Rachel Lowe, as a footballer, I don't know what to do with her as a footballer, because she has these moments where she, you know, gets in the right places, knows what to do, looks really, you know, exciting and fun, and then misses. And then, you know, just like doesn't carry out the action. I don't know. And it's interesting because it was sort of like it's been between her and Sarah Hunter for that spot throughout the whole season. I think they're different players. I think Sarah Hunter is more of a, you know, less progressive as a player, less able to get those progressive passes. Not like less progressive as in like she doesn't live in the inner north, like less progressive as in like, you know, with passing the ball.
That's a non-Sydney reference because the inner north is not progressive.
Inner west. We'll get that for the Sydney people. But yeah, I don't know. She had a chance like really early on in the first half that she just looked like, I don't know.
Can I ask, if you were captaining Maria Rojas at cricket, where would you field her? How would you use her? You know, I mean, she's Chilean. I think she's a fantastic footballer. I'm not sure if she even knows the rules of cricket. And
she's fielding. She's fielding under the helmet in the batter's ear the whole time. Absolutely.
Should we move on? Does anyone else have any other thoughts they want to share about Sydney FC and Melbourne City before we move on to the second semi-final?
I still think Rebecca Stott, personal bias is massively acknowledged, is a star for Melbourne City. I think she's so integral. I mean, her role in the build-up to one of those City goals, if she can't play 90 minutes against Victory, City are in even potentially more trouble than they even might be at the moment, as we'll get to in a second. I think Stoddy, like everybody, like it's really tempting to just look at Stoddy and talk about how inspirational she is because of her cancer journey, which 1,000% it is. She's a fucking good footballer in this league, man. Like that
By the way,
should
guys,
not.
you can swear on this podcast if you want to, just in case
Yeah.
you're wondering. There you go.
Yeah, like she's
Shit,
like,
yeah.
she's good, man. Like she's one of the best players in this bloody league, and that shouldn't be obscured just by everything else she's accomplished. Like, yeah, she's good, man. Like,
I just want
even
to ask
like,
Joey.
yeah.
Sorry, before you go, Nick. I just want to ask Joey a question because I have the belief that if Stoddy had stayed on till at least the 80th minute, I think City can hold on because I think they left a gigantic gap in the midfield after she went off. Do you think if Stoddy stays on, City hold on?
I think they've got a much better chance at it than they did previously. I'm not sure if they can contain the chaos that arose, but they've got a lot better chance to do it, I think, with Stott in the middle.
Pick the splinters out of your ass.
Hey?
Pick the splinters out of your ass.
No.
Pokuah, that was a very good question.
No,
and that was a very good example of good hosting. And I don't want you to undermine me by showing me up as a better host. All right.
No, but hold on,
You know,
hold on.
look at it.
Just very quickly. We have a fine tradition of cheap plugs on this podcast. Pokuah,
Yeah.
plug the show that you do host.
I host
Taryn
Radio
Blog.
Dub on FNR, 7 o'clock or 7:15. It depends how the show before goes. On FNR, listen Twitter, YouTube, all everywhere,
FNR,
everywhere you
Football
go.
Nation
Good
Radio.
content.
It's available as a podcast. I often catch it as a podcast the next
It
day.
is.
And Taryn, plug your stuff.
Yes, I am on the Massive Dub Pod. I can't claim it as my show because Michelle would kill me, but I am on it.
Put yourself over.
Yeah, it's my show. Ha. No, it is the Ladies League podcast. We talk dub, Liberty, A-League women. It's fun. Listen to us. We're on various platforms and so forth.
Yeah, some good questions of Danny Townsend the other day. No.
Yes.
I referenced one of them when I interviewed him later. In that
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Hey, I'll
And
tell you what was fantastic.
I do have a Michelle-inspired question for you two at the end of this segment as well.
Nick Stoll's timer is going very quickly right
Just-
now.
Anything Michelle inspired
yeah.
is always slightly questionable, so I look forward to it.
You know what's slightly questionable? Going too long in this podcast, and that's what we're doing. 37 minutes deep, and we have barely got on to most of the topics that we need to get through. So, Melbourne victory 2 got the result at Hindmarsh Stadium over Adelaide United 1. Adelaide United, first time in the finals for many, many years. We guys
First time
surprised
ever,
by-
Nick. First time ever.
Yeah, the many, many years also includes ever. All right, I would say many, many years means a long time, maybe ever.
Former
Alright.
SBS The World Game hosts in Adelaide. Name them one iconic duo.
Look, they lost, so who cares about it? That's my point. All right, no. But hey, 2-1. Look, nice finish from Leah Privatelli. That nice little finish there. Just boom, took the speed off the ball. Very much enjoyed that. What an incredible free kick by Sasaki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Jesus. Like someone said it was Ronaldinho v. David Seaman. I think it was better.
Pricks.
Well, yeah, I mean, come on. There's just forget David Seaman. The guy's an idiot.
Yeah, forget him. Forget
What did you guys make of the game? Taryn, I'll start with you. What did you make of the victory for victory?
Didn't expect it. Didn't expect it at all. I think Melbourne victory, a very different side when they have two centre backs that are actually centre backs, a 6 that's actually a 6, and a 9 that's actually a 9. So this is possibly the first time that has happened, except for since round 1. So that's good. They also look a much better side after a week's rest. So that's good. No, I didn't expect it at all. I think Adelaide really, really struggled. They were pretty disappointing, actually. I think maybe just the weight of their first final in many, many years probably did weigh on them a little bit. Interestingly, and I would love to hear other perspectives on this, I almost feel like Kyra Cooney-Cross, she's a big miss. She's an excellent player. She was a big miss, but it kind of changed structurally the way they played. Tiff Eliadis has been playing as a centre back and then has like earned her spot as a sort of more defensive midfielder. Oh, I see. Okay, people are interested in this point.
Did you listen to the show last week, Taryn?
I didn't. I have to confess, I didn't.
Where we made this exact point: the Victory might function better without Kyra Cross.
Well, yeah, I think against Adelaide. They did. I really think that they did, and I think next week with Kyra Cross back against Melbourne City, that's a different proposition. I think that she'll be much more effective against Melbourne City. So, yeah, I think Tiff Eliadis did great. Good for her. And Amy Jackson and the whole structure of Melbourne Victory just was set up to counter Adelaide. And Adelaide looked really toothless, which is sad because they're usually very exciting.
And that's and I guess that's the main dynamic, specifically how tight Dylan Holmes looked in early phases of that game, especially when the air kind of started to get thick in that game when Adelaide really had to figure things out, even with Sasaki and Omiya, playing together and starting together. Because Dylan Holmes does really kind of capitalize in certain moments and in certain broken phases of play. And this was a game that really tightened up for Adelaide, and they had to really kind of figure things out against a Victory that was open to that was open to the idea of sitting off them and being and reacting. And that's looking at Melina Ayres' impact on that game. I think these 2 points are specifically aligned. But having watched Ayres as well, like a lot of times in the VPL, it was cool to see her have this kind of impact in this kind of game.
What's the community version of Liberty Financial?
Financial, right? So
no, Pepper.
Some payday loan or something?
No, not Pepper.
The payday loan VPL.
Pokuah,
payday loan VPL women's.
Pokuah,
there's also low income verification in the VPL. So,
My thoughts.
Your thoughts on that.
I think Grove did an excellent job keeping Adelaide in the game for as long as she did. I know later on in the game she struggled, but I think she made some really crucial saves. And at times I think Victory weren't capitalizing on their opportunities. I think the front three for Adelaide lacked any movement and any sort of creativity when they really needed to break down a Victory defense that has looked shaky a lot of times throughout the season. I was disappointed they didn't attack that right-hand side where Nevin was a lot more, particularly after she got that yellow card, because I think she, even without the yellow card,
she was flat out bad.
She's probably the weakest defender she's shown this season. She hasn't had a great season. So why Dorber and Wirtz didn't rotate more and really give trouble Nevin more, I was really surprised by that, particularly in the second half, because in the first half they showed moments where they actually could kind of break them down, but in the second half they lacked any sort of ideas, and maybe that has to do with Dylan Holmes not being as effective and able to free up more space for them.
Well, I think I can tell you why they targeted Doran over Nevin. Just NRI.
Yeah.
Nevin's the Matilda's wingback. Polly
We're
Doran.
getting into VPL enough areas, but oof.
Yeah, like Polly Doran's just some random former Essendon, Triestina and Calder player. Even though, several games this season, she's been the best wingback for Melbourne Victory by quite a margin. And it was bizarre, to watch that Adelaide really didn't attack that right flank as much as they did. But quite frankly, Adelaide weren't good today. It's cliche, but just like they just didn't look like they showed up for their first ever final. Just the occasion got to them. I think the adjustments from Stenter as he was chasing the game, his subs, none of them affected the game anywhere how he would have wanted. I just think they wilted in the face of Melbourne Victory, and especially now it's Melina Ayres, proper number 9. Like, she knows where to be. Like, she knows exactly where she needs to be at all times to affect play, whether that's scoring goals, as we saw on that thing where she made the exact run she needed to get the cross from Privatelli, fantastic cross from Privatelli. Oh, can I drop in a fun fact about Privatelli? She and I for years and years lived on the same street in Bulleen.
I thought she bowled medium paces as well.
I don't know what she bowled, but she and my brother were in
cricket, like bowling medium paces. Mate.
She and my brother were in the same class at St. Clements of Rome Primary School.
Sorry, John, can you say that word for us again, please? Is it Steph? What's the word again?
She and my brother Eugene were in the same year at St. Clements of Rome in Bulleen.
Good job.
Yes, so that's my fun Privatelli fact. But also, once again, personal bias. I also think Privatelli had a good game today. Like Privatelli knows what she's good at, and she does it. Like Privatelli. Yep, she stays in a lane, she stays on the flank, and she just does her job. She runs and runs and runs. She doesn't give her opponent a moment's peace. I remember watching her against Sydney FC, that game that they drew down at the Georgies. I was sitting on the flank that she was at. Soon as she came on, man, she was on the Sydney defenders like white on rice. She just like refused to lose. She's got mongrel in her. Like, she makes defenders have very bad days. And I love to see that. Melina Reyes also fantastic. I think Melina Reyes is going to be a real challenge for City next week, just because of her sense of positioning. And I mean, I was watching City against the Newcastle Jets, where they were caught at 6s or 7s on multiple occasions by strikers that couldn't finish. They make those mistakes against Melina Reyes, she's going to eat them alive.
Pokuah?
See, I think the Privatelli thing is so key, because had Cara Cooney-Cross played, she probably would have played in the position that Privatelli played in this game, because we've seen Jeff Hopkins put her up top, and I think it would have taken away so much from Victory's ability to really disrupt Adelaide, because at times Adelaide looked okay defensively. They were able to kind of nullify a lot of Victory's attack. I think Victory was just a little bit more prolific, particularly having Melina Ayres today. But I think that Jeff Hopkins has a tough decision next week with Cara Cooney-Cross being available, because they played well today. They showed they were more compact as a unit, and they actually defended more than Cara Cooney-Cross is able to do. Sometimes she doesn't track back in the way that she actually needs to, and leaves gaps in the midfield and also for that defense.
I guess the difference in succinct terms between Cooney-Cross and Privatelli is that Privatelli is a winger who does winger things, and Cooney-Cross is, let's say, a midfielder trapped in the body of a winger. And I think, and Cooney-Cross as well, like, a lot of what she does when she does play out wide, a lot of it is dropping in and just providing circulation and just an extra number around the ball and just providing numerical superiority. She doesn't necessarily provide positional superiority. And so, yeah, I think that gives Victory, in relation to Privatelli, a more distinct and profound directness. And that might put Sydney, or anyone who they face in the finals, really, under more pronounced pressure.
Hey, let's take a look at the predictions for the elimination final, and then. So here's what I want to know from all four of you, starting with you, Joey. We'll work our way clockwise. Who do you think is going to win between Melbourne City and Melbourne Victory, and then who do you think is better placed to beat Sydney the week after? And it doesn't matter. Can anyone do that, Joey?
Both of them can beat Sydney. Neither of them will be favourites, but both of them absolutely can beat Sydney. City already did. Next week.
Where are you leaning? You can. I'm happy for you to do a 55-45 prediction. 60-40.
With Bub suspended, I'm leaning Victory.
60-40? 65-35?
65-35 Victory.
Oh,
I think Bubs is a mass. Bubs is not just that. Bubs has been the second best goalkeeper in A-League Women's this year, and she is also the leader. Like, if you watch Melbourne City play live, she does not, in the best possible way, she does not shut the fuck up. City's defense will miss that.
And she's an
Especially
all-star. She's an all-star nominee, I believe, according to us 20 minutes ago. Ante, your thoughts next week, and can either of them beat Sydney FC?
They both can beat Sydney FC in the final, but I'll take City.
All right. Taryn, next week, thoughts?
I'm going to go like 60-40 victory, because not just for Bubs, but I think City at their worst are very ponderous. And I think TJ Vlanic also being out is another direct player that they are now missing. So
Victory going to have the ball, I reckon.
Yeah.
All right.
Pokuah.
Give me a team. Give me a number.
I'd like City to win.
Yep.
I think they can do it. I think they can
Why
hold
would you
on
like City
enough.
to win as opposed to victory?
because she's a City fan.
I'm not a City fan. I'm not a.
Look at these cheerleaders in the Melbourne media.
Have been the more City have just been more consistent of the Melbourne teams this year, and I liked watching them play a little bit more. I think it's going to be tough. I'm going like a 60-40 split. I think City are going to win, and I think they're a better matchup against Sydney FC anyway, personally.
Okay, you've all said that either team can beat Sydney in the final. Would you all still say that Sydney are the favourite? Okay, Sydney first the field. Give me your percentage.
To be honest.
At home, Sydney definitely the favourites. Percentage that Sydney would be favourites. Ask me again next week.
Oh, nice. Ante,
Yeah, I'm
need the
waiting.
matchup? Okay, all right. Maybe that was a bad question. Karen,
Bad host.
let me know. Was that a bad question? 60-40? Bad question, good question?
I don't think it's a bad question.
50-50, the words of Victor Dutton.
50-50.
Sorry, Pokuah, you were saying before
I think Sydney are the favourites, but I think that Sydney are the favourites. Sydney are favourites, comfortable. At home, yeah.
All right. Taryn, want to go against the grain?
Yes. No, Sydney are favourites. 75-25. Let's put a number on it. Especially just the week off. The week off means so much.
I couldn't do the math quick enough. I couldn't do the math quick enough to figure out if it was 70-30 or 75-25. I couldn't figure it out. It's all 75-15. I know what it is.
All right, well, thank God you're not doing any kind of maths degree. Uni, journalism, it's all easy. Don't worry about it. It's all good. No maths required.
Exactly.
Guys, we were speaking before you guys got on about what was your favourite moment of the weekend. My favourite moment of the weekend was having you guys on the show because you brought so much fire. Excellent contributions. But before you go, what was your favourite moment of the weekend? Pokuah.
All the dub games. I actually don't have a specific moment. I'm going to be honest with you. All the dub games was pretty good.
All right.
Actually, no, my tweet. My tweet was, it was a good moment.
Pokuah just like leaning on the window like this, looking out into the distance. Like...
Taryn, your moment of the weekend?
I just think the whole Sydney v City game was just a lot of fun. And I had a friend over and we were just how irritated everyone was compared to how fun it was just a really fun mix of emotions. So I'll go with that. It was lots of fun.
All right. Well, it was lots of fun having you guys on. I hope that we can get you back on after next week's game and then for the final. And without a doubt.
It is well past my bedtime, so it's
It's fair enough. It's fair enough. And this podcast, as I say every week, is definitely going to be under 60 minutes. And we have 5 minutes left to make that true. So we have to say goodbye to you now. But thank you so much for joining us. Where can people follow you, Pokuah?
Twitter, Frimmy31. I think that's what the handle I have at the moment. I don't know.
To be fair,
Great promotion. Taryn, where can people follow you?
On Twitter at my name at Taryn Hedo, or follow the Ladies League where you just get rows, but close.
Easy. There you go. So many
Easy.
options. So many things to choose.
Wait,
from.
no,
All
just Taryn. How many people are in control of the TLL Twitter account at the moment?
No, don't say it for legal reasons. Because if you ever do a dodgy tweet, put
Oh,
a
which is
thousand. It could be anyone.
The A-League memes approach. They are legion.
I have to confess, I did once have control of it, and I was so terrible at doing anything on the account. I couldn't do a meme to save my life. So no, it will rarely be me unless it's some really terrible one-liner.
Best host. I also didn't get to ask them the question that I wanted to.
Okay, go quickly.
Based on Michelle's tweets, I wanted to ask of the both of you your opinion on double headers for finals, and would you rather see Sunday's preliminary final at Amy Park stay standalone, or if there was the option, would you rather see it made a double header with the Melbourne Derby on the Saturday?
Damn, good question. I wish I asked it.
Taryn, you can go first in this one.
Oh my god. No,
and it might change your answer if I told you that Victory players used the possibility of a double header and upwards of 15,000 people cheering them on in the second half as a motivating factor against Adelaide.
Yeah. I think look, a single game being a double header is one thing in and of itself. For example, the game today was a double header because the 4:05 TB slot, and because it was in Adelaide, and because the men were playing, and because it just made sense, and because these are the facilities that are available, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a whole series of issues. So I can sit here as a fan and be like, I hate double headers, and I do. I hate double headers, but they happen because of a whole network of reasons behind them. So rather than, ending double headers immediately, we need to end the network of reasons behind the fact that you wouldn't get 10,000 to a standalone game before you can end double headers. It's a very complex answer, but
it's a very good answer.
It's a very TNC answer. Destroy the system is pretty much always what it comes.
The whole damn system is wrong.
Pokuah, what do you reckon? Destroy capitalism or keep it going?
Destroy capitalism. But
take it to the next level, guys.
Double headers in just the regular season, I don't have as big of an issue with it. But when it comes to finals, I prefer not. I prefer let the talent speak for itself. It's the finals. If you're doing double headers, then you have no confidence in the product that you're actually creating in the long term. So double headers, regular season, finals, stick to just let them be by themselves, please.
All right. Good point. Guys, we can let you go unless you want to stick around and talk about the A-League, and we're going to do that in
the Isuzu Ute A-League men's.
Isuzu A-Liga men's. Thank you very much.
I'm going to be watching from the sidelines, see if you can keep this under 2 hours. That's what I'll do. I think we could go 30 minutes over.
Pray for me. Taryn, it's past your bedtime, so
it is well
respect.
Past.
Get your sleep. Enjoy. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night. See you later. How good was that? That was fun. That was really good.
There we go.
All right. Thanks so much to them for coming on the show. Let's go back to we're building our all-star team. Let's start. We're going to play 4-3-3.
Right. Bro, we got to. I'd rather just talk about the games. If we were to go 2 hours.
Who are you picking? All right. I'll nominate Josh Risden. Let's go.
All right. Meme team. Meme team right back. Dylan Piraeus.
Ante.
I don't know. Shit.
Ryan Grant? Hey now, you're an all-star. Get your game on. Ante, we're doing this for every position. Don't overthink it.
No, right? I don't know. I flat out don't know because it's the most inconsequential position in all of football, right back.
Oh, bro, shitting on that.
Unless you're Danny Alves. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Goodness.
Are we seriously naming all 11 positions, or are you just killing time until the timer says 60 minutes?
No. Please, me killing time? Never do that. Hey, MacArthur 3, Western Sydney Wanderers 1. Look, I have a question, and I don't know if you guys can answer it, but I think the Bulls are terrible. I think they're crap. But these guys keep winning, and it keeps annoying me. And if you look at the table, they're fourth. And this team is not, in my opinion, the fourth best team in the league. What do you guys think? Did you catch the game, either of you? Because I believe you maybe did.
Do the thing.
Oh, sorry. You gotta set it up.
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
Didn't realize the bloke with the gun was at the end of it until I actually came up.
That's what I'm
laughing
laughing at.
Like I thought it was just. And then I play it for the first time on air, and there's a bloke with a gun on it.
Oh, goodness.
Anyway.
Yeah. MacArthur. They're so... Like, it was cool that Toure was able to, get his assist without a boot on, this, that. Like, it was great for the metrics and great for the retweets and whatnot. But, oh, man, they're just so uninspiring. And that's, I guess, they're not alone when it comes to teams in the current top six of the Isuzu A-Liga men's. Like, they're among a swathe of teams that are uninspiring.
I mean, look at 3 through 6. The Adelaide, MacArthur, Victory, and Sydney.
Shit.
Yeah.
They just play like it's not all right. Shit is an idealist or a it's zealotry to call it that. Let me I'm trying to be diplomatic after my meltdown last week, but it's hard to ignore how bland they play their football in relation to, let's say, general interest towards the league itself.
You look, this is what I say about MacArthur. So I think the first goal is a very nice goal. You mentioned it. Al Hassan Toure, it was a cool moment. It was a well-worked goal. De Vere was involved. They got the ball out wide. Nice cross in from Toure for Craig Noon, who's scoring quite a few goals. But from the goal until about the 70th minute, they did fuck all. Like zero. Like, it's unbelievable that amount of time could elapse at home and you do zero in a game. Like, if you look at the result and you go 3-1 win, they've done pretty well. Like,
Wanderers played relatively well, but MacArthur just scored very timely goals. And that was the same thing with Adelaide, like today, for example.
So, quick, I mean, obviously, you're a bit more with advanced metrics than me, advanced statistics than me, but a quick look at MacArthur, how they're doing, kind of how they're ranked in the league. Yeah, so according to FootMob, they are 11th in the league for big chances created, with 13 big chances in 16 games. Like, they're not an exciting team to watch, let's be honest. They are 11th in average possession with only 44%. The only team below them, can you guess?
Western United.
Yes, Western United is also doing well. Strangely, I guess you'd kind of think, MacArthur, they don't create a lot, so their defense must be very solid. Not at all.
No, they give up high quality looks as well. It's just they've just been extremely lucky.
They are second. So they're second last for goals conceded per match. Only the Mariners have conceded more games per match than them. They've conceded the most penalties this season. When it comes to expected goals against, they're the second worst in the competition. And then expected goals for, it's not like they're creating a lot. They're seventh for expected goals for.
I guess the thing I've always looked at, I'm still yet to look at it I'm still yet to go into it this week because I have to catch up on it. But
Would you say you have to keep up with an Ante?
Money well spent. I still do want to see the average shot quality that MacArthur give up because I've gone through every shot, per XG that each team have copped in the league and each team have taken in the league. And MacArthur have kept a relatively low average shot quality. It's just an accumulation of shots that they give up. But at the same time, they really don't create much of any note. And we talked about their goals or Noon and Orr's goals recently. It's like you can't be relying on scoring bangers every week. That's not a sustainable plan.
And I guess,
and it's
I feel like I'm waiting for them to like regress to the mean. Like every week, I'm like, this week you're gonna cop it. How do you keep getting away with it?
But it's not just that. It's like they brought in Davila and De Silva to supposedly play this, really expansive football. But they were essentially brought in to shoulder that burden and have everyone else run.
Speaking of Davila, it was nice to see the Mexican fans make the trip out to MacArthur.
Hold on. Was it Thompson on the call?
Feels nice to be able to have foreign flags at games.
Who was it on the call that called them special Mexican masks?
I don't know.
Lucha Libre masks, man. Come on,
man.
This
We're
is
not
Rey
all-
Mysterio.
We need more wrestling savvy commentators.
Hey,
This is where Paramount have failed the public the most.
another thing about how do they keep getting away with it? Good to see there was a decent turnout in the away end for the RBB, despite the fact they were charging $40 a ticket. How do they get away with that?
$30 if you're 5 years old.
I genuinely hope people jump the gates. Like, I genuinely hope you got in for free. Like, that is such an absolute theft. I would have immediately reported them to police if they tried to charge me $40 to go see the away end at a MacArthur game.
But you know what? That's actually funny considering, Kuslovic is, doing his best Marmich cosplay and the away end fills out, MacArthur games just like Dinamo games.
All right, that's a Croatian reference that none of us understand.
Okay, let's get into Hajduk Dinamo from this weekend.
No. Okay. All right, Ante, mute. All right, there we go. Joey, do you have anything else on this game? Otherwise, I'm just going to move us on.
Western Sydney Wanderers continue to be hamstrung by some certain individuals that continue to see minutes within that squad, despite the coaching change. If you want to know who I'm referring to, just go back and check Ante's rant about who he cut from the side a few months ago. The song remains the same. You can see that there are building blocks that are there for the Wanderers. I mean, we've seen Ogawa and Nazarene start again in this one. I think they should be starting week in and week out for that Wanderers side. But, man, like, what has Toma Hamed really brought Western Sydney Wanderers
to the league, even when he was at Wellington, man? Like,
okay.
How much was he pushing the needle even at Wellington?
But just
He
like
did
here,
score at Wellington.
yeah, but like here,
but
at Western
like,
Sydney
what kind of,
Wanderers,
it was like you might as well call him Toma Pemed, for example. Like, what kind of goals was he scoring?
like the contributions that he's made. The Wanderers had to throw a bag at him to bring him over from Wellington. Like, for the amount of money they're paying him, for the visa slot that he's taken up, what exactly is he bringing the Wanderers to justify that outlay?
Experience.
Premier League experience, NRI.
NRI.
Played for Brighton.
Speaking of a visa spot being taken up, Thomas Mejas not getting any game time whatsoever. Like,
Foreign goalkeepers, man.
Yeah, just unbelievable. They wasted money on him. But anyway,
I mean, fine with Big Mike starting, but there's there's another NPL Victoria goalkeeper wasting away on a bench that should be starting week in and week out in this league, and he's bloody not.
All right, so the question was, are the balls actually good? And the answer is no, and eventually they'll be found out. Let's see.
No,
same with Western. These are Western areas. Like, it's not necessarily certain that they'll be found out. There is a good possibility that they'll regress to the mean on their own, but that
if somebody actually has to go looking to find them out.
That's true. So Perth 0, Sydney 2. Perth playing at home again, and you think, okay, Perth, they're at home, it's going to be all good. And turns out not, because a lot of Perth fans were quite angry on the timeline yesterday, quite frustrated with their team.
I wonder why.
Yeah, they've really, I think they've really kind of realised that they're struggling a lot. But Ante, Joey, did either of you see any of this game?
I was on dub watch and writing.
Ante, your thoughts on this game?
How can you not start Collie and Steins? Quite simply, from Perth's perspective. How can you not start them? Like, it's almost negligent not to start them. They are, even from a standpoint of, both in terms of developing them with the idea of actually, one, either having them prominent, or two, selling them. And two, they just make your team better by being on the pitch. And they relieve a burden from Bruno Fornaroli, who isn't capable of carrying a team anymore, quite simply. Like, just bloody play them. But, Garcia's adamant that O'Neill and Timmins are the way forward for them. And, O'Neill went down.
Not O'Neill anymore. He's out for the season.
He went down. Yeah, exactly. And so, and that's, that sucks. But at the same time, nice to see Yazbek, man. I've come around.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. I wanted to ask your thoughts on the left back, Talbot. Did quite well, intercepted the ball on the first goal, played a 1-2 with Burgess, played a night, showed a bit of composure in the box as well. Didn't rush, got his head up, looked for the right option, found Barbarouses at the far post.
Stoll, are you envisaging your A-Liga version of Messi, Dani Alves with Burgess and Talbot?
Don't put ideas in my head.
Is there any other podcast on the planet that would compare Max Burgess to Lionel Messi outside?
Well, Max Burgess is better than Lionel Messi right now, man.
Okay, I'm very confused as to who to defend right now. I'm very confused over who to defend and who to attack, but that was outrageous.
This is like Pokemon areas. Nick Stoll hurt himself in his confusion.
Who do I like more? But looking good. And I got to say, Kenny Lowe was on, good bloke, TM. Kenny Lowe was on co-coms, and I love the fact that he openly admitted that he did not know who Talbot was. He referred to him as the wide player when he got the ball in there. But look, Talbot did well. You mentioned him, Yazbek did well. Are we starting to see the Sydney FC rebuild? Is this what Sydney FC is going to look like more next season? Yazbek, Burgess, Talbot, maybe not Ninkovic, maybe not Bobo, maybe not, Paolo Retre and Anthony Caceres.
Yeah, I'm still yet to. I can't remember off the top of my head who they've got off contract at the end of the season. It all depends on that.
Yeah. All right. I just want to read you out in terms of. Oh, I just also wanted to bring up one of the great moments of the weekend. 55th minute, Ryan Grant. It wasn't so much a goal line clearance as a goal line dribble. He got the ball on the goal line and decided to dribble it out. Then he played a 1-2 with Barbarouses. Then he did an auto pass to get past the Perth player. For those of you who don't know, an auto pass, it's when you pass it around one side and then you run the other side and you get on the other side. And then the touch was too heavy, so he absolutely cleaned up Latchman. And I was just like, more of that in the A-League. Goal line dribbles, 1-2s on the edge of your boxes, auto passes, and then if it goes wrong, just clean up the big defender who's trying to smash you. So I thought that was one of the moments of the weekend. But Sydney FC, do we
let me
go on.
Sydney do have a lot of players off contract. I've just looked now. They have, so there is scope for a big rebuild, and there are players there who other clubs, from what I understand, are already looking at and are already getting in contact with.
Interesting. Here's a question for you, Ante. If you're going to say that Burgess is better than Messi, an outrageous statement, but I'll allow it. Is Burgess the best Australian player in the league at receiving the ball in between the lines?
Yes. Not even close. It's not even the how he receives. It's not even the mere fact that he receives the ball in between the lines. It's the level of clarity that he displays when he receives the ball in between the lines, and that's what makes him such an adaptable player. Either playing as one of the 210s for Sydney or playing as one of the central midfielders for Sydney, because he just understands from a situational basis what to do with the football when he has it. Do we really want to go here with Max Burgess?
What do you mean?
should he be a hashtag bolter? Or
A
would
thousand
he
percent.
be a hashtag bolter?
Yeah, those are very
given-
two different questions.
Yeah, they're very two different questions.
We can ask them both, but later in the show when we talk Socceroos. Joey,
what a good host. Teasing for later.
But you think about it. Sorry, no, let's really get into it now.
No, let's not
Burgess
get into it. We'll get
no.
into Socceroos later. We'll get into Socceroos
Ah,
later.
man.
Joey,
we gotta-
do you have any
we-
nice things to say about Max Burgess?
I like
If
his
so,
new
you may
haircut.
continue. Very good, very good.
But he is
Some are
27.
Looks very aerodynamic. You know.
Some are
looks
calling him the Bondi Burkamp. Mainly his friends.
No,
on
you
Instagram.
can't do that, man. He's Mudo Vasquez. Like, come on, man. Like,
No, but that doesn't. There's no.
I don't care about your
Volpato
NRI.
Vasquez.
He's Mudo Vasquez. He's like a legit doppelganger for Mudo Vasquez, man. Stop this.
All right. Before we move on, and we'll move on to City Western United in a moment, I just wanted to read some tweets from a guy called James. He's at Zizou Season 10, which already makes me a bit sus on his name. But I think he made some good points about the Perth Glory. And, you know, obviously we're not over there. And maybe Perth kind of gets a bit forgotten about because it's all the way on the West Coast. But just kind of, I wanted to maybe read them out and maybe Perth fans can get in touch if this is the feeling over there. Because I'd like to know. He says, it's very rare for me to be completely furious with the club. However, Perth Glory have proved today that they have zero ambition and have no problems with it. An insipid performance against an ordinary Sydney FC highlighted the same problems on the pitch. We are so shit with our build-up play. Doesn't matter who's at centre-back. No one has the initiative to want to drive with the ball or play a progressive ball. To be fair, Rollins at least tried and was successful on a few occasions. But ahead of them, what the fuck was that? Zero movement from the collective unit. Pacific tried, rarely picked out. Keogh tried, never picked out. Our players have been given zero clue on what's expected of them in all phases of the game. And that brings me to Richard Garcia. This club has employed a PE teacher to lead an important rebuild post on one of the best managers the club has ever had, Tony Popovic. He set the bar very high.
A PE teacher has had the highest position in Australia's technical body for a number of years now.
That's a good point. No, it's a good point. He said that this time about
Isn't
Tony
Tony
Popovic.
Gustafsson a PE teacher?
But I wasn't talking about Tony.
I know, but
old-
it's
old-
just
old
that
Tony
reminded
G,
me.
but-
It wasn't Gustafsson a PE teacher as well. Let me check that.
Anyway,
All right. Guys,
continue.
don't interrupt me too much. He set the bar very high with style of play, recruitment, and subsequent success. Under Garcia, it's
His
been
mother's a
excuses.
PE teacher. I knew it was something like that. Oh no, he did too.
Look
he
at
was
him
as well.
undermining Stoll's hosting capabilities with this.
Cago en tu puta vida, all right?
I'm trying to provide information to our audience.
However, no,
Yes,
like,
considering
seriously,
his
but-
background as a maths and physical education teacher.
But we, you know, shameless plug here, but we mentioned this at the very start of the season. What do Perth Glory, you know, view themselves as? And how do they expect themselves to achieve? What is their perception of success, essentially? And their perception of success isn't necessarily footballing, in relation to how they play their football.
It's amazing
Yeah.
how many things we say get yelled at, and then a few months later, everybody's agreeing with it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, that's a good plug for us. If you're listening at the hour 18-minute mark, you're probably already fans of us, so you'll probably go along with that. Otherwise, that's some very arrogant shit. But let's move on.
Well, no, I just remember a few weeks ago, I wrote something and got a lot of negative feedback from a lot of important people. And then 2 weeks later, everybody else is saying it as well. And I'm just like,
Joseph, that's all
still
right.
bitter about that.
Can we go?
Don't be insecure about it.
Can we go?
I'm not insecure.
into-
I'm petty. There's a difference.
Can we go into the details of what that is or no?
No.
Okay, let's welcome in Nick Dabano. Nick Dabano. Good to-
Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hi, Devano.
Buongiorno,
In the
Dabano.
waiting room for
Buonasera.
6 minutes. 6 minutes. I was counting. But I'm here.
Dabano.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We had to bring you in. We wanted to bring you in from the
Good.
start. We would have even considered you as a host, but you weren't available.
Yeah.
Availability is the best ability. You weren't available. What were you doing that was keeping
Show
you
some
from this
ticker, man.
important?
I was filling in as a late replacement for the Adelaide Newcastle game, filing on that for news tonight. So it's been a bit of a busy.
Scott papers.
So had to put my Crow Eater hat on for 6 hours, did the double header, and yeah, just wrapped up. Interesting presses, very interesting presses nonetheless.
Ooh. Give us
Do
the
tell,
scoop.
Do tell.
Give us the
Give
juice.
us
Oh,
the
well,
scoop.
Carl-
TNC exclusives.
Well, Carl Vart basically flat out said he didn't think they were very good, and
They
Hale
weren't.
just basically put it down to belief that's why they won and felt that as the game wore on, because Newcastle.
Did he mention that he was a good bloke, Nick?
No.
If you're listening to this on a podcast, go to an hour 19 and 50 seconds to see Ante's reaction to he puts it down to belief. Worth it. Better than anything Ante's ever said.
I mean, belief is he's kind of playing into my good bloke theory there, that he's a good bloke and he's got them believing.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's third technically on the list. I mean, if we're going that way, but yeah, he said, like, as the game wore on, he felt they were going to win because Newcastle played 3 games in a week. And he said the subs helped change the game. It was all the same kind of stuff there. Arthur was actually quite bullish. I mean, he said he just feels like that, if they just keep doing what they're doing, eventually they're going to start winning. He felt they were, without saying it almost, I think you could tell he thought they were the better team, and that's just in the first half they came out a bit slow. But I mean, it was everything you expected.
That his backline is costing him games.
He said that there's things. Yeah, he was saying, they understand that there are issues they really need to rectify. But then again, though, he did say he's hoping they can. This hectic schedule can start to slow down. I think that was something he really sort of hammered home, is that the constant 3-game turnarounds is taking a toll. So I think they get a week now before their next game. I haven't actually had a look at when they're playing next, but. He really made that point very clear. So, I mean, from my reflection, I know we've already spoken about it, but I felt that Newcastle should have won that game in the second half. They were all over them. Like, my God, if it wasn't for Joe Gauci and you are missing that brilliant one-on-one, then, I think Newcastle would have run away with that.
Man, how many times are we going to say that this season that Newcastle should have won the game? Let's talk about a game that was a lot of fun and that you guys were both at. City 2, Western United 2. Joey, you said it was your favourite moment of the weekend. Please elaborate.
Well, as I said, I just thought it was fun to the extent that I was filing on it. So I was just kind of focused and I just kind of let my brain turn off and enjoy it. Like, fuck it. Sometimes you just need to do that for your own sanity and to not drop into a pit of wailing despair and melancholy.
Are you referring to someone last week?
No, I was actually genuinely referring to my own mindset heading into that game. So I was rather pleased to be presented with a spectacle that just allowed me to go, haha, team in light blue and team in red and black go brr. It was just fun, man. Like, both teams attacking. It was fun watching Dylan in the first half, man. Come on. Dylan Piraeus running at Scott Jamieson on that flank. That was fun because, there's the history of Dylan leaving City there and Jamo, the veteran, going up against the youngster and the youngster getting the better of him on the second goal.
Interesting.
There was some, there were fun goals as well. Good goals. As I've already sung the praises of Tilio setting up Metcalf for his goal. It was back and forth. It was fun. It was actually it was the second largest ever home crowd that Western United have pulled, probably because they let City fans in for free. But it still counts. Man, it was just a fun, dumb day at the football. Yes, there were things. Western United shit the bed every time City pressed them with any sort of actual intensity. Western United, were up against it in the second half. City pushed it, sort of like a repeat of last week against the Jets. Western United probably lucky to hold on for in the ends. But like I said, it was one of those games where I just turned my brain off and had fun at the football, bantering with Nick next to me just about the game and throwing jokes and having fun.
But, I mean, look, that is at some level what football is about, is going, enjoying it, hanging out with your friend or family member or whatever. At some level, Ante, I can see the look you're giving me. At some level, it's part of it. It's just to go and enjoy it. Nick, you went to the game. Did you enjoy it?
Joey, you summed it up. It felt like, those nights when you've been watching like a really heavy TV series, like a real gritty, like Breaking Bad or something that, you need to like freshen it up and watch something that's a bit light, like just
Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad.
No, not watching
You can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. He won't.
No. What I was alluding to, basically, it's like when you're watching and you watch like a really shit comedy. Like this week, I
It's a
watched
palate cleanser.
I watched all the Naked Gun movies. And I know a lot of people hate them, and I absolutely love those movies for the shit comedy, the shit puns. And I'll sit there and piss myself for like an hour and a half and go to bed with a smile on my face, and I'll be happy. And that's how I felt leaving the game yesterday. Like from a pure football, like from a football standpoint, I mean, it was just end to end. First half was like, okay, shit, Western United's up 2-0. Like this is interesting. Like, what is this? Like, Renee Corinne scored that was a really nice finish. But the goals came against the run of play as well, because it never really felt like Western United were the better team. It just felt like in the first half they executed the game plan of sitting back, and once you finally play through the press, City are screwed. And we've seen that all season with City. When City throw numbers forward, they can't defend to save themselves in transition. But I got to say, this game actually said a lot about Western United in the sense of how they reacted in those last 60 minutes, because my God, were they up against it. For really one of the first times this season for a good period, I felt like they looked extremely vulnerable. And when they were trying to play out, and you saw Lacroix and Tomoki absolutely, hemmed in, and they were just sticking to the formula of trying to play out and this and that. I mean, City coached the game really well in that second half in terms of actually knowing just to push forward, put pressure on their midfielders, put pressure on the defenders, and they're going to shit the bed. And it happened. For the good Renee Corinne did with the goal, the lack of minutes and him still catching up, I thought really caught up with him. He looks like he struggled with the pace of the game. Connor Metcalf going up against him, I got to say, special shout out to Connor Metcalf. He was probably one of his better games he's played for City, and Marco Tilio as well on the wing. But for City, I feel like, they feel quite aggrieved they didn't win that game. But for Western United, I think they were quite content with taking a point. I mean, John Aloisi called it a positive point. I think you asked him before the game, do I want a point from this game, considering they still have the 2 games in hand? He probably would have taken it, to be fair. It sounded like he didn't come in defeated. PK probably would have definitely felt aggrieved with the 2 goal line clearances and Metcalf hitting the bar and all those other wasted chances they didn't go on and win the game.
To be fair, PK always feels aggrieved.
Yeah, I know, but especially yesterday.
How do you spell aggrieved, Joey?
What?
How do you spell aggrieved? Make sure you don't make a mistake.
Okay.
Whenever sorry.
No, I know exactly. You're referring to his answer to Oscar's question, but I'm not giving you a...
What I was going to mainly say is we spoke about, I think it was you, Ante, who mentioned it about having faith in your bench and in your stocks. And I think yesterday summed it up yet again that PK doesn't have faith in his bench, because he did not make a single sub. I know they had it up against them, but they played on freaking Wednesday and he didn't make a single sub. He had players like Endo and Kolakovsky and Rafael Borges Rodriguez. He had Pucciarelli crossing punt road. I walked right past him with Lesiotis and the rest of the players in purgatory. And they
all them as well.
None of them.
Did he say what?
So,
because he gave the same answer he always gives when we ask him why he didn't make substitutions. He felt like the side he had on the park was able to get him the result. Like there's a series of questions that you can ask Patrick Isnorbo, and you already know the answer you're going to get before the last word has escaped your lips. It's just
irrespective of how belligerent PK is with the media. I gained a better understanding of why Melbourne City is so volatile defensively, and how Western United were able to exploit that. It was very, very indicative on this. Like the second goal was particularly a really good example of that. But it was also a good example as to why Melbourne City scored their second goal. Because you look at it, it wasn't just that moment where Western United tried to play out. It's only seconds before that Jamie Young, they had a goal kick only like 30 seconds before. And Jamie Young didn't want didn't want the team to play out. Sends his defensive line up, hoofs the ball up. The ball comes back to Jamie Young. He loses it at his defense because keeping the ball is of secondary importance. And then they try to play out. City win the ball, and then from there, Jamie McLaren's played through. City did create chances. Western obviously wanted to sit off. This is probably the pattern we'll see if we see them play again in the final series. But City do have it. It's not just like primarily it's what they do with their possession, which then impacts their capacity to defend in transition. But there was stuff in very set phases of play where they weren't good defensively yesterday against Western United. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this develops.
How about just one more quick point? You mentioned the bad defending, Ante. Sorry, Stoll. But there was one play in particular in the second half with Prijovic where he got in behind and there was all this space. It was a real speculative effort. It was like real Zlatan spec. I mean, not just because of the look, but trying to lob Sutton, with a bouncing volley over his line. But he had so much space. Yeah. I mean, Nuno Reis, I thought going forward with his delivery and his distribution was sensational yesterday. But him and Curtis Good yesterday were really struggling in those transition moments. Prijovic didn't have a lot to do. I mean, I don't really remember him bar that really having much of the ball. But seeing Dylan and Lockie Wales really being able to expose those defenders, and even at times at Disu Bayu, thought that, geez, those three was exactly what you felt like they were trying to do. They were trying to hit him on the counter with pace because you felt that, Scott Jamieson and Carl Jenkinson aren't the quickest players, as we saw. They're going to be able to do that too.
Sorry, especially with Reis and Good, who haven't played consistent minutes this season. They have been, in and out of the squad as well. So, and that's an important thing from a standpoint of continuity for centre backs. Even if, you are familiar with each other relatively, you still have to build a relative level of consistent minutes together. You just can't, it's very hard to just flick the switch essentially. And so that's probably been the most interesting thing between Reis and Good specifically, in isolation.
On the subject of poor defending, though, Lacrosse header from the goal as well on the corner. He beats
Honking.
3 defenders to the ball and then Meg Sutton.
Honking. One more quick point. I don't think this is the last time we're seeing them play. One way or another, they're playing again in finals. I think just based off the sheer weight of the rest of the league, I genuinely won't be surprised this is the grand final. Like I said it yesterday, it's probably a grand final preview. I just don't see... I'm going bold here, but I just genuinely think we're going to see this in the grand final. I just don't see any of the trailing pack being able to beat them over 2 legs. Maybe victory. That's it. I don't have faith in anyone else.
At this point in the season, given the difference in...
Jets, baby.
I wish.
They're going to come good one day.
I think it's way too volatile to say, and I think personally, I think it comes down to matchups.
Well, we can talk about matchups. Same thing with City, though. If City are a team that, if they're not playing in the grand final, their seasons can just be classified as a failure given the expectations surrounding that club, as we discussed last week. If they're not winning trophies and playing in grand finals, it's not a good season.
For Western United, considering their wage budget.
Yeah, and I was going to say that considering Western United's wage bill, considering their position on the table, their points tallied with games in hand as well, if they're not winning the Premier's Plate or at the very minimum finishing second and making a deep finals run, at this point, considering where they're coming from right now, I don't see how figures at that club will consider the season anything other than a failure if they don't win some sort of silverware based upon where they sit right now.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting end to the season. But you know what's even more interesting? My all-star concept, which Ante was poo-pooing before, but we still need to get through quite a lot of this team. So who's going to be our centre-backs for the all-star team? Lacroix? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. All right. I've got a yes from Debana. That's all I need. Nuno Reis? Is he getting in there?
Dino Djulbic and Taylor Reagan.
Joey, your voting privileges are going to be taken away from you because.
Well, how many? Wait, is this a starting 11 or a
Do
squad?
you want me to do it?
Squad. So I'm going to be 2 per position, but obviously for centre backs, we'll have 4. So
4.
Pokuah,
I mean,
Nuno Reis.
Pokuah, yeah.
Tamaki
I mean,
Imai.
What formation are we
Tamaki,
playing?
for
4-3-3,
versatility,
maybe.
Tamaki Mai
CNC.
especially. What was that?
4-3-3. That's the formation we're playing.
Okay.
Any other centre backs?
For a left-sided centre back, Curtis Good, maybe.
Anyone want to go Dan Hall? There was some talk about Dan Hall a few weeks ago. Ante's nodding. He refuses to participate, but
No, I'm taking Dan Hall.
All right.
Dan Hall and Reich.
If you're throwing in just for a one-off game, maybe Matty Spranovic. A one-off game, maybe.
All-star.
You know
I mean,
what?
there's not many. There's not
How about we front it now and let's say, look, TNC listeners, what do you feel about us doing a A-Liga draft? I think we have to do this.
We have to do. Yeah, the window's done.
At the end of the season, 100%.
I think it's time for an A-Liga draft and / Pro Evo tournament.
Well,
Wonderful.
so we can actually use the license tag. Ultra Football, hit us up. At your ground, we'll pay you an exposure.
Listeners, viewers, tag Ultra Football with
yes.
like
get the ball rolling.
Fly
Stoll down. Fly Stoll down. Not asking for much.
Yeah, and if you could fly me down, I think it's first week of April because I got a wedding in Melbourne I got to go to, and I haven't got tickets yet. So
lucky you get to come to Melbourne. Lucky you.
You get to leave the shadow realm, mate. You come to
it's not raining down here. It's amazing.
It's not raining here anymore either. We had a beautiful Saturday, and I very much enjoyed it. Hey, speaking of who else enjoyed Saturday is Brisbane Roar. They won 2-1 against the Knicks, and of course there was the winning goal from. It's amazing. I don't know if it was the first goal of the season, but got in the box and it was a great finish from.
Shout out to Joe Pantoliano, man. Top gun actor.
This is the All-Star squad we should be assembling. All-Star 11 of underappreciated character actors.
Yes. Joe Pantoliano.
Does anyone have anything else to say about this game? Because I only watched the mini match, and I'll be honest with you. Not a hell of a lot happens.
Interesting to see Warren Moon change back to prior formations, given the fact that he does have Aldred back. For a team that has been so notoriously wasteful in front of goal, it was very interesting to see them finally, actually take advantage of what they can do from box to box. Akbari was quite good while he was on. It's a weird. Brisbane is so weird. I really want to do a deep dive on them. And I can't wait to do it.
You're the only one.
Yeah, like there's so much you have that you can really get into with this team, considering who they have, considering Moon's adjustments. As the season has gone on. They fascinate me more than any team in the competition, just with relation to how it's all gone. And Wellington, in contrast,
such a nice Zuzu Ante brain moment.
Everyone's
bored of Brisbane Roar, and you're excited.
No, they really fascinate me because they can be. Just with relation to who they have, I'm still of the belief that they can be so much better than what they actually are. And
so, do you think Warren Moon is doing a good job, or no?
I think he can do a better
circumstances.
job. I think he can do a better job. I'll put it that way. And but it's not necessarily that, because I think there's a really simple solution to it. But anyway. Coming to Wellington, in contrast, they're just really bland, and they shouldn't have beaten Brisbane anyway in the game that they did beat Brisbane. Not it was about during the festival of football, like it was a Sunderland bomb that ends up changing the game, and they score that in the counter after Brisbane have a really good opportunity to put the game away or to get back into the contest. And so it was football's weird way of finding an equilibrium. That's what it was yesterday between Brisbane and Wellington.
Well, congratulations to Brisbane Roar. They got the win. Yazbek with the first goal. Second goal.
Wait, no. Who did you just say had the first goal? He said Yazbek.
Yeah, you said yes.
So eager to get your shit in and get your clip in that you forgot who scored the goal for Brisbane.
I got confused for a second, but Joey, don't be such a. Anyway, great game.
Hold on. Congratulations to Rahman Akbari on getting the call up for the Afghanistan senior national team. He will be missing the next 3 games for the Brisbane Roar as he heads off to a training camp in Turkey with the Afghan side, where he's going to play a friendly against Madagascar.
Potentially the best midfielder in the league.
Ooh,
better than Burgess?
Yeah. No, but like different player than Burgess.
Yeah.
But like just in terms of his skill set, he's that, and that's where Warren Moon can just use him so much better.
And with Akbari gone,
so basically, we shouldn't be capping Volpato. We should be capping Akbari.
We're going to get there.
At least we should have been quicker on this, and because there are a lot of players who now it's probably more feasible to integrate them in the next window, but Akbari wasn't considered in the Olyroos, and I think that's kind of fed into, just his lack of legitimacy for a Socceroos call-up when he's, really one of the better young players in the league, just not utilised.
Yeah, and with Akbari gone, obviously Brisbane are going to be more reliant on. So, all right, we'll leave the Raw the next chat there. Look, we're going to end it pretty soon. I'm pretty happy with getting this under 2 hours, I think. But Socceroos squad, we believe, is going to be announced on Friday. I don't really want to
go. This conversation's going less than 18 minutes, do you?
I don't really want to go into it. All I want you to do is name one bolter for me.
One.
Nick Dabano, I'll start with you because we did have a question on Twitter from Stephen Gunavas. Is that how you pronounce it? Stephen Gunavas?
Gunavas.
Interested to know Nick's.
Shout out to Scouter Football.
Yeah, very true, very true. Interested to know Nick's thoughts on whether Graham Arnold should call up Christian Volpato. Nick, you've been sitting on the fence for this. No one knows how you feel about this. Please let us know.
You said we have we've got 17 minutes and just under 10 seconds until we hit 2 hours. I think this is going to be going. If you let me go the full run up, we could be going 2 hours 10.
You can't go longer than he has played senior football.
No. Short answer, because I know Stephen's definitely trolling, because this has been a constant with him ever since the Volpato long run up. But the answer is short and simple: no. Even if he plays tomorrow morning, no.
But Nick, what happens when he's winning Ballon d'Ors in 10 years' time?
Exactly.
Well, we'll cap him before then. Like, there will be time, because Italy's not going to call him up. This is the same. I can't. This is just going to piss me off.
Tranquillo. I don't know what the Italian version of tranquillo is, but
it's calma.
Calma.
Tranquillo.
Okay. The question is who if Volpato is not the bolter, who do you think should anyone be the bolter? Do you identify anyone as the bolter in the squad?
As to put it short and simple, I think the player who should get selected, I don't know if he's really a bolter because he's been called up recently despite not playing, but and I'm probably stealing Joey's thunder with this one, but
you dick.
Sorry, Joey. I'm just putting it bluntly, like we need a 6, and
but he shouldn't be a bolter. Like
that's what
he shouldn't be a bolter.
He
should be starting.
He should be
playing. I'm going to say the same to you. Tranquilo.
No, I can't. I care too much about this fuckery. And this is the point.
Isn't fucking nailed on.
This is
easy with the language.
mate.
All right, we can't just.
Sorry. This is a point I'll make in relation to this question. Given who we're playing in this window, I don't think there will be a Volta.
Okay.
I don't think the squad's going to change too much, guys.
No.
Joey,
I think he's going to go with exactly what he had last time.
do you
I
have
don't
a
know. I need
Volta?
time to think because Nick just stole my guy.
Okay.
Sorry,
I'll give
Joey.
you a little bit of
I didn't know who else to think, because realistically, who the hell's going to get called up? Realistically, who's going to be a bolter? Nikita Rukavica? He's not a bolter. He's the guy everyone claps for when we need a new number 9.
I don't know. We were talking about it, Burgess, but I mean,
but
yeah,
that
but
won't,
he's not gonna get selected.
that won't happen. It won't.
I mean, he's
Like,
a
and
senior
I'll see.
C
This
midfielder
is where I came back to it. Like, yeah, it's a practical selection, but is it realistic that he'll get selected? No, because
Arnie, prove us wrong, mate. Prove us wrong. These TNC people who hate on you, prove them wrong by calling up Max Burgess. And you know what? Let's see.
If
Guys,
not,
I mean, like, the
meme,
just
it's like
go looking to Andrew Webster instead.
Guys, you know what worries me? You know that we saw that tweet about Nick D'Agostino potentially being in the frame.
You think it happens?
I'm kind of worried because he has played with the All Crews. Like, I'm not going to lie. There's this feeling of like, if it happened, I really wouldn't be surprised. He might not even play.
Imagine the A-Liga brain areas that Daggers gets called up against Japan.
I'm not going to start. I'll say too much.
To use a Croatian expression, "Jadna nam majka," meaning literally, our mothers are poor.
Okay, no worries. Don't know what that means, but good luck. Well, can you translate that further? Can you
like our poor mothers? Like what a lamentable situation, essentially.
Oh, yeah, lamentable.
Lamentable.
Finally, language I speak. Look, all right, we'll finish it up with some questions from the people. I've got a few here. Joey, you were commentating a bit of MPL this weekend. Debano, I don't know if you were doing any MPL this weekend.
I had to pull out today because of
Neil Simons wants to know MPL rap. Who's impressed the most across Victoria? Quick answer.
That would be unfair to the rest of the country to just talk about Victoria. However much we are.
Who's impressed in MPL Victoria? Give me a quick answer.
Team or player?
I don't care. Team or player.
I think it's more individuals than teams, to be honest.
Max Mikola from South Melbourne. So I actually don't want to say South Melbourne as a whole, even though they haven't lost. I really like Max Mikola, so keep your eye on him.
Mikola's been
Joey?
good.
Pass.
Sorry?
What do you mean pass?
Sorry, say it again.
Not one player has impressed you.
I mean, you know what? Also, it's been good. It's been good to watch Hope and Yanucci at Gully, though. I'm not going to go.
To be fair,
No,
I
but,
think
you know.
all right. Who was good on Friday night? Gian Albano was good on Friday night.
All right.
I don't know, man. I think he's gotten
No,
worse.
I tell you what.
Look, on Friday he was okay, and he changed the game for Knights. But I think he's gotten worse with every year at Summer Street. Let's not get into like deep VPL areas.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what impressed me. If you give me a few seconds, I'll show you a clip. Tom Manos' save, absolutely insane. I'll show you.
I'll give you a few minutes. You can put it up, and an hour 48. If you want to come check this out on the feed, if you're listening on the podcast, you can see this save that is about to come up any moment as soon as Joey gets it ready. Just in case you haven't heard it enough times. Shout out the Sopranos.
The clip is uploading. The clip is uploading.
But
what I'm going to say is that sorry, Ante, just one quick one. All I'm going to say is Thomas Manos' save will make headlines. That's the yeah.
Here's the clip.
The Greens as they come again. Is this the moment? Cut back. Goal! What a save from Manos. I don't believe what I have just seen.
Don't believe what I just heard. Who was that on comms?
You should have put shameless plug at the bottom of the banner. Like.
Hey, can I just ask, is his name Manos? Manos?
Yes. Yeah. He's got great hands.
Okay. one of our favorite people, one of our favorite listeners, Dylan Murphy, who coined the term Izuzu Ante Brain, is one of my favorites. He asked, who are some NPL coaches who are playing interesting football? Are we seeing any interesting tacticians coming through? Haven't kept afloat of the NPL during COVID times and trying to find out who I should keep an eye on as I get back into it. Ante, anyone impressing you at NPL level, either in Victoria, New South Wales, wherever?
There are, but I don't want to really kind of divulge at this point in time because the body of evidence for me hasn't been extensive, and so I kind of want to see more.
The default answer for this until he actually gets a gig always has to be Ben Kahn at the Olympic up in Queensland.
That's one, obviously. Yeah. There are some in Victoria who have been who intrigue me, but I want to kind of see more.
Okay, Nick.
Shout out! I've got one who's just made the move to Dandenong Thunder, David Chick. He's done quite a good job in his first 4 games since making the move up because he had Pascoe Vale in good position in NPL 2 last year. They did quite well in the FFA Cup and the Australia Cup, but last season they got knocked out by Avondale. And so far, so good from 4 games and got 7 points. They've looked okay. But all I'm saying is don't look at the tables, especially in Victoria, and then label the best coaches off that because putting it bluntly, like Esteban Quintas's football at South Melbourne is very much, it's very pragmatic. It's not something that
it's almost like watching like, with all due respect to your commentary, watching Hellas Heidelberg in the first game of the season like that, like, and Katsakis ball was like just gross.
They're just sliding.
Basically, Esteban Quintas.
You can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it. He won't.
However, no, Mikola has been good though at Hellas.
Yeah. They're basically playing footy, just long ball, knock it down to the crummers.
Hey, shout out to PK with the AFL reference yesterday, by the way.
He dropped the AFL reference.
Yeah, he goes like, when this game isn't AFL, because we asked him about all the chances, and then Joey did some digging, and we found a profile of PK talking about his love for Carlton. So he's a Carlton supporter. And there's a photo of him,
it explains a lot, doesn't it?
And Kuda. And the 3 of them at Princess Park. It's great.
It explains a lot. God, you know what? I'm going to be so like, you know what? All right. I know Stoll will get really upset if I start talking about the footy. So I'll leave it at that.
Let's let the people ask the questions. We had at Paletti, Stephen wrote in during the show, agree with Ante Jukic in terms of the All-Star game kind of diminishing the A-League men's A-Liga men's brand. Well done, Paletti Stephen, using the correct terminology there. I have an alternative. How funny was it that pissed off so many people? But anyway, I have an alternative concept. If the APL wants to do it, a New South Wales-based all-star team versus the rest of the country all-star team. Thoughts?
I don't think the NPL teams do this a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there was a New South Wales v Queensland game, I believe, State of Origin.
I wouldn't mind like an NPL version of it. Like if every sort of team did it, I don't know, like end of the year, have like a charity game or something like that, like Victoria plays New South Wales. Just for something like that. But I don't know about the A-League.
It's just hard to get like teams without any like continuity are usually pretty awful to watch. That's just my thought. Ben Smith.
Hold on, here we go.
There we go. There is a picture of Kisnobo in a Carlton jersey. Doesn't mean anything to me except there's Dennis Pagan.
Mr. Herbalife. Big Kuda.
There's the guy who used to sell Savlakis on the TV. Anyway, Ben Smith wants to know which box office actor or actress are the Jets most similar to? Who was
Nicolas Cage?
I was going to say Armie Hammer.
Dennis Hopper.
What, the cannibal?
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper.
Think about it. Armie Hammer was on his way to be an absolute superstar, and then evidently just couldn't make it happen because of
they're just nuts. Dennis Hopper.
It's whoever is the best who's in a lot of like high grossing films, but is just not a very good actor. So literally anyone that was in a Michael Bay movie. So I'm going to say Shia LaBeouf. So as he was in the Transformers.
John Cena.
Don't hate on. Actually, no, they might be The Rock. I mean, The
All
Rock
these
plays the
movies-
same role in every single
All
movie.
these movies are made in a lab, though. So like,
Yeah, but The Rock
Yeah.
is like an actual like The Rock gets the job done. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah, but he
delivers.
plays the same role. He's not a very good actor. He's just put him
Yeah,
in.
see,
put him
like
in
the thing about the thing about The Rock, movies containing The Rock doesn't play a character. The Rock
No,
just
it's The
plays
Rock.
The Rock.
Yeah, so- and what
And they
does
just
Denzel
put
Washington
John-
do? What does George Clooney do?
Well, they put nipples on his bat suit when George Clooney was around the 90s. So.
Has anyone seen you Batman? Any good?
Yeah, it's very
I know
good.
this is-
No
I've done it, it's
spoilers.
getting on.
The only
fantastic.
movie I've watched at a cinema in the past, like, basically since COVID, was June.
Shout out to June.
like
What a
it?
movie.
I went to see the latest
I watched it
Spider-Man
twice,
film
though.
with my girlfriend, and she cried on numerous occasions.
What did you see? The latest what film?
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Why? She's scared of Spider-Man. Is it an emotional? No. Sorry, I haven't seen. Look, the last movie I saw was the Anthony Bourdain documentary. That was actually sad.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Go watch the
Um,
Batman film. Movie.
Okay. At FB Skippy says, please tell me Joey Lynch is hosting. Da-da. At
Sorry, Skip Bolton.
At Paletti Stephen responding to my tweet in regards to the poll, 3 hours 20 sounds good for me for a boring day at work tomorrow for me. Can't speak for the host or the people tuning in live, but I imagine everyone will want to hurt me after 3 hours and 20 of TNC football. Look, we're only just creeping to 2 hours. So
I mean, we
might be
haven't
alright.
done a proper media watch segment yet.
And we haven't done predictions.
No, we're not doing
Ah.
Let's do predictions. Just
under
we
two
can
and a
hear
half. That's
two
all
and a
right.
half.
We're like, yeah.
We need to get this catchphrase over so we can start selling merchandise.
Can I just say one thing about Media Watch? Should we save it for next week because we're going to see some big takes when the Socceroos squad gets,
Ooh, yeah.
or even the week after when it's in between the Japan and Saudi Arabia game.
There will be time for media watch, my friends.
There'll be hashtag takes.
Gentlemen,
Hashtag charlatan watch.
Is there anything you guys want to get off your chest with a few minutes to go? Is there any? The floor is yours, Joey. A lot of people are in your mentions this week. Anything you want to express yourself? Feel free. It's safe space.
I don't know. The Shrek thing kind of broke my mind in the extent that I don't know. Like, it was a sexualized 3D Shrek in a leather catsuit, twerking over Amy Park.
It's amazing when you say it like that. What
Yeah, I know.
was an official team putting this shit
Why
out?
is one of the most successful clubs in A-League history tweeting out a sexualized Shrek in a leather catsuit, 3D Shrek in a leather catsuit, twerking over Amy Park just hours before a game? 24 hours after a Melbourne derby has been postponed with just days' notice, a day after the club has used this very same social media channel to stage a question and answer session with its managing director Caroline Garneggi about the state of the club. Like, it just kind of broke my brain. Just like, I can see, like, I'm not a fan of banter. I'm not a fan of. It's still broken my brain. I'm not a fan of the clubs bantering with each other on social media. I don't, like then talking about getting pizza in the box. Like, I don't, but I can I can look past it. But just something about this, it just broke my brain. And with the state that the league's in, and we know that the leagues supposedly have social media reach, and their social media strategy is a cornerstone of, bringing this league to prominence. Is fetishized Shrek's twerking over Amy Park part of the strategy that's going to bring the A-League back to the promised land? I don't know.
I guess, when we
And
talk about...
sorry, I need to say this.
Go for it.
I don't do all this because, and it probably broke me because, like, there is not, like, I was discussing this with Nick the other night. I probably think about Australian football every hour, at least once an hour, every day that I'm awake, if not more regularly than that. I am in this shit. And like, I have probably just become cynical and just like trying to keep the faith and, you know, hoping that things get turned around. And then I see that and I'm just like, you know, and I'm having conversations and I'm like, oh, the change is coming. Everything's going to be good. And then I see Dancing Shrek and just I go, why the fuck am I putting myself through all of this stress? Why am I living from freelance gig, wondering if I'm going to be able to pay my rent? Why am I putting myself through all of this shit?
Everyone has their breaking point. Ante's was last week watching
No,
too much A-League football.
mine came a long time ago. When it came to,
Yeah, like mine came a long time ago. I had several breaking
Nick's
points.
was when Volpato was.
This was the important. The
I
important
fucking
thing.
love
like,
Australian
when,
football, man. I just don't.
I guess.
Sorry, go ahead, Ante.
No. Like, I mean, I guess the important thing when we initially spoke about this, you know, on our, you know, Media Watch segment, initially on TNC, we talked about what will that banter or putting of admin over on those clubs' social media accounts lead to. It's this crap. Like, and at the end of the day, put the game over, put the club over, put the team over. Like, don't cheapen it. Essentially.
Can I just say one thing? You know, I saw some people saying, oh, well, a lot of the other AFL clubs did things with Dancing Shrek outside their training facility. Like Collingwood did it and Hawthorn did it, and they're not copying shit. Why do we need to do it as well? Like, because, if the why do we have to always
AFL appeals to the lowest common denominator anyway. So why the fuck should we?
It's
I
just
don't know. Like,
what, because it's financially feasible or viable or potentially more viable. I mean, fuck.
and
like,
I should say I wouldn't have had a problem with this if it was stayed on TikTok. It's fine. That's what TikTok's for. I'm on TikTok. Yeah. It's loose as all hell. It's insane. Like, and it's probably not for me. And it did numbers. It's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put it out on a platform which,
read the room.
Yeah, well, no, if you're going to put it out on a platform which, you know, ostensibly, yes, might feature your target audience, but still has people like me on it, I'm allowed to criticize it. I'm allowed to say it's shit. You know, I'm not, you know, people like me aren't supposed to just sit there and say, oh, it's not for me, I should just shut up. No, that's not how it works. I'm allowed to think it's shit.
Just
and I still think it's shit. Like, I've staged the truce with the A-League, with the Melbourne Victory admin. I understand why they did it. I understand that he probably got a lot of negative feedback on it based on his things. I kind of felt sorry for him. But I think it was shit if something else pops up like that isn't related to the game whatsoever. I think the only thing that was related to the game in the Shrek video was that it was Freed from Desire playing as the sexualized Shrek in a leather catsuit twerked over Amy Park rather than the original TikTok sound. Like,
the only thing that's more arse than a sexualized Shrek is Melbourne Victory in possession.
The most Ante quote of all time. Debano. What did you
I was just going to say, like, I think the whole thing about it, I think sometimes people think that we just do this just to shit on the game because we like shitting on the game. It's like, we do it because we fucking care. Like, we give a shit. Like, if we didn't give a shit, we wouldn't be talking about it, we wouldn't be getting frustrated. Like, we want the game to thrive. That's why we're critical about it, because, like, how are you supposed to improve if no one's telling you need to improve in this area? You're just going to keep doing the same thing and think it keeps working. And that's been the problem here all the time. There's been no change. So, I don't know. It pissed me off. This, as I said a few weeks ago, the discourse in this country gives me a headache and it makes me sick. It always feels like there's something new every day. And I'm relatively young compared to you guys. So you've probably seen it more than what I have. So, like, I don't know what you guys, but that's why sometimes it's like Vietnam stares from you guys compared to me. But my God, like, does my head in.
I feel like I've heard every single debate in this country about football on repeat since I first started watching and reading about football when I was about 13 years old. So, yeah, I mean, look, I just say, look, I didn't really care about the Shrek video. You know, I try and not stay online too much.
Yeah.
I just like whatever it's shit. I'm just going to ignore it. But this is also the thing is it does, and I wonder if this is an unintended consequence. Look, some people get around it, some people like it. That's great, and it gets engagement. But eventually, I'll see it in my feed, and I'll be like, why am I even following Melbourne Victory? I used to follow the clubs. I used to follow every single A-League club to get news about each club, and this person's out injured, and this is the press conference, and you were informed because you followed all the A-League clubs. And now I start to think I'm probably just going to unfollow most of them because they're no longer doing their job of informing me. They're just trying to get on trends and metrics and stuff like that. I don't need that in my feed. And then I start unfollowing you, and then I'm not sure when games are on, and then maybe I'm not watching you, and then I'm not buying tickets to you, and
so this is basically the small to large domino meme.
Yeah, I just think it's like you start on this path of it's good engagement. Is it? Because it's making me want to disengage with your team.
Bias, man. No bias.
Speaking of Melbourne Victory, a positive for them. Let's try and finish on a positive. They play in the Asian Champions League this week. They play against Vissel Kobe. Usually, midfielder. Yes, usually I'm always a fan of the Australian team in the Asian Champions League. But I'm sorry, my friends. You're playing against Don Andres Iniesta. You're playing against one of the greatest players of all time. It's going to be impossible for me not to support him. Yeah, look, I hope you guys do well, but I love Iniesta. I love him so much. And he is obviously way past his best. But even now, he's still so good. Ante, you still watch J-Liga men's football.
J-Liga men's.
Jota Liga.
What is the J-League sponsor? Hold on.
It's
probably an Australian.
No. It's
Holden.
Meji Yasuda Live.
Yeah, Meji Yasuda. Anyway,
your thoughts for this game?
Iniesta, top 3 footballer I have ever watched in my life. God, I love him. Look, I don't think about football in the way that I do if not for this guy. And so...
Oh, so it's his fault.
No.
No, that's the good side. That's the positive side. So Australian football's badness I think measured out by Modric and Iniesta's greatness, and that's the Ante brain right there.
Look, I mean, I just want Australian teams playing in Asia, like that's and testing themselves against the best in Asia.
And it was good to see Sydney FC.
That was the cool thing about Sydney playing against Kaya as well. Like I love this time of the year because we get to see.
I love this game.
I love this game.
I love this game.
But I do love this game, and I love Australian teams playing in Asia, testing themselves in different environments. Players adapting to different environments. I've said this before on the pod, but it's the coolest time of the year, Asian Champions League time. I love it, and yeah, I can't wait.
Does anyone want to predict a victory win against Vissel?
I just let it happen. Let it happen.
I hope victory wins. I hope they qualify for the group stage. I hope they get through the group stage. I hope they play the Sydney FC or Melbourne City in the Asian Champions League final. I hope an Australian team wins the entire ACL. I hope Jack Brimmer puts Iniesta in his back pocket, signs a big deal in Europe, and becomes a millionaire. I hope everything.
Forza coefficient, guys.
Forza coefficient.
Can I just say one thing about Stoll's going through right now watching Iniesta? This is how 16-year-old me felt watching Western Sydney play against Alessandro Diamanti and Alberto Gilardino for Guangzhou Evergrande. And I loved Alberto Gilardino growing up. I don't know what it was. I think it was his celebration against the US in the World Cup with the violin. And, I love Diamanti Euro 2012 and him at Bologna as well. What a baller back then, 50-50. So, look, in terms of what Joey was saying about going through, selfishly, really selfishly, I really, really hope victory wins because, more work for us freelancers, but also it'll be great for Australian football to have all 3 teams in the next round. Whether the victory, they went to Kashima, what was it, in 2020 and did that smash and grab win. Was it Kenny Athiu scored that game or am I thinking, and will lightning strike twice? I don't know. I haven't watched Vissel Kobe for a very long time. So fuck it, going on a limb, Victory wins 1-0. Fuck it, it's happening. Lightning striking twice. I'm doing it for. This is definitely not going to happen, but fuck it, I'm putting it out there. Manifestation.
All right, I like it. I think that's a great place to finish on. As I promised.
Good news for you, Nick Stoll. Barcelona women, 72nd minute against Real. They're up 4-0.
Oh, you know what's coming. Amanita.
What, next week?
Amanita.
An open pass.
I thought you were talking about Frankie de Jong like getting rinsed again in the Classico next week.
We shall see.
Can I just
Barca is on the way up. It's on the way up. It's also on the way down. When it goes, it's a little bit like this.
They're like crypto.
Hey, you know who's better than Modric? You know who's better than Modric? 19-year-old Pedri. This kid.
All right, I'm done.
Wait, hold on. Barcelona are like crypto. They're being used to hide. They're being used to hide from sanctions by Russian oligarchs. What?
Okay, look, Ante has left the stream, which is good because he clearly doesn't even want to debate me on the virtue of Pedri, who is clearly superior to Modric. Nick,
can I just have one last shout out because we got one more mention before we go from Run Them Memes. At TNC Football mentioned South once, and we have a comment, and I'm not going to name the name because you guys will just guess it. It appears the hashtag Epping Victory admin is chasing, in capitals, hashtag metrics as opposed to football emoji. Authenticity, no, and this emoji.
All right.
So,
you know what?
Shout out.
For that guy, God, he's persistent. Like, you cannot doubt. Joey, you say you think about Australian football like once an hour every day. I think this guy tweets about Australian, well, specifically
Like
one
meme.
Anyway, guys.
And he makes
Joey,
fun of my accent.
Joey, thank you so much for joining us. Nick Tabano, thank you so much for joining us. And Ante Jukic, shame to see him go, clearly admitting that Pedri is the better player. Tune in next week where hopefully someone else will be hosting and hopefully we'll be under an hour like we always promise to be. Thank you so much for everyone who watches.
We're not even under an hour if you go 2 times speed on this one.
Get in contact at TNC Football and really appreciate everything. See you next